Right, okay, so statistics is where we are looking at data and we are often making predictions from that data. In order to make predictions from the data, we have to find some information. We have to find some statistics, that's rubbish. Anyway, so one of the types of statistics that we would find are the averages. Okay, now you should have learned these many moons ago, maybe in the 7th and or 8th, definitely 7th. Means, medians, and modes, they are your averages. So if you say the word average, I'm finding the average of something, that's actually not mathematically. You're pushing the limit now, Lara. That's not mathematically correct. You need to say I'm finding the mean, or I'm finding the median, or I'm finding the mode, okay? Because they are all different, but they are all averages. The numbers that you get when you find the mean, median, mode may often be similar, okay, but they're not always going to be the same. Some of them are better than others in certain situations. So, for example, in some cases, you may be better off trying to find the median value. Sometimes you'll be better off trying to find the mean. Sometimes you're better off trying to find the mode. Okay, and I've got a little. This face is not one that's amused at the moment. So please do not. So there is a sheet on here that has a summary of all the pros and cons of all three of the averages. So, do you remember what they are? The mean. We add the data up, so we're going to find the sum of the data, and we're going to divide that by the total frequency. Do you understand what I mean by frequency?
Yeah.
How many values there are, how many there are. Okay? The median. Okay, the median is the middle value once they're in size order. Okay, so you can't just look at data and find the one that's written in the middle unless they are in size order. Now, if there's an even number of data values, then there is not going to be one value in the middle. There's going to be two. And so what you do to find the median is you find the midpoint of those two central values. So to find the midpoint, you would add the two middle ones up and divide them by 2. Right? Yeah. Yeah, because you would add those two up and divide by 2, divide by 10, divide by 2. Yeah. The mode is the most frequently occurring data value. Okay?
Is there a range?
Now the range is not an average, that's why I haven't used that yet. Okay, we'll come on to that. So mean, median, mode, they are your three averages. How you remember them is up to you. I often think mean, it seems to be the most work. It's hardest thing, you add the data up and divide by hand it up, so it's mean. It's mean to work out. The median sounds like medium, which tends to be the middle size when you're looking at sizes, small, medium, large. So median is the middle value. And mode, it sounds like most, which is most frequent. Okay? How you remember them, I don't have any preference. Okay? Now, when it comes to frequency tables, that's where people start getting confused. And if we were trying to find the mode or the modal class, now these two things are looking for the same thing, essentially. For this question here, we would be finding the mode. For this question here, we would be finding the modal class. The only reason that this one would be called a modal class is because this in here is a range of values. Okay? So if you see modal class, don't freak out, it's nothing different. You're still doing the same thing. It's just called a modal class because there's a range of data values. So for A, if I'm trying to find the mode, what did I say the mode was? The most frequent. So which value here is the most frequent? 3.
3.
Wait a minute. Somebody said 1, and I said
3.
It's 1.
Frequency.
It's 1. Okay. I got it.
3.
It's the frequency.
All right. This is good. This is why I want to do these kinds of things. You have to remember what this table is actually summarizing. So this table is telling me that if we were to write out all of our data values, I would be writing 4 zeros.
Oh,
I'd be
it's
writing
one.
7 ones. I'd be writing 3 twos, 3 threes, and 1 4. Yes, that's what that table is telling me. Which means that my most frequent number is 1. Okay? So my mode is 1 for this one. Because it has the highest frequency. But the fact that both of these numbers were a 3 meant that some people were, that's happening most often. And that's what happened in the exam. So I'm really glad that some people were wrong. Because you meant to have that. You did it on purpose. Yeah. Okay? What's my modal class for this one?
15 to 15 to 20.
Yeah. Okay? So this would be 15. And just write it as it's written in the table. Okay? So 15 to 20 is our modal class for that one. Because it has the highest frequency. Nice, easy. Just the end. Now, trying to find the mean. Does anyone remember how to find the mean when it's in a table? I haven't done any questions where you're just adding up numbers and dividing how many there are. Okay? Yes, you do.
Sometimes I don't know
So when they are in a table, again, what we have to think about is what does this represent? This says that there are 11 zeros, there are 10 ones, 19 twos, etc., etc. So if I were to write them all out as a long list, that would take a really long time. But when I would be adding them up, I could group them together, couldn't I? I could say, well, these 11 zeros would add up to 11 times 0. These 10 ones would add up to 10 multiplied by 1, etc., etc. Okay? And so what I would do is I would multiply these. So I would have 0. Don't forget anything multiplied by 0 is 0. 10, 38, and 30. And then what would I do with those values?
You would add them all together.
Good. I would add them up. Okay, so I'm going to add these values up. So 78.
Would you divide by 3 or 4?
Now,
Just divide by 11 plus 1 plus 1.
Wait, can we just go back like 2 steps? Okay.
which step do you want to go back to?
It's
The
a-
78?
No, where you, what? It says 0, 10, 38, 30. Where did you get those numbers?
0 times 11.
0 times 11? Okay. 1 times 10 is 10. 2
Oh,
times 19. 3 times 10.
I thought we were making.
Pardon?
I thought we were making like the number in the previous. Never mind. Never mind.
Okay, we're good? Alright, so I've added them up. Okay, now, some people are saying divide by 3, some people are saying divide by 4, some people are just saying divide by something else.
Divide by 4 and 3. 11, 50.
Where'd you get 50 from that? Okay? Amelia, why did you tell me initially to do that one?
Because it's the number of values. So like there's 11 of this.
Okay, again, this is a summary of the data, okay? So this is saying that the numbers are either a 0 or a 1 or a 2 or a 3. It's not saying how many of them there are. This is the column that tells us how many there are. So we would add these numbers up. It's 50, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay? And then we would find the mean by doing 78 divided by 50. Was it?
1.5.
Thanks.
Wait, but their zeros don't count, do they?
Yes, they do.
But they don't like add anything.
They don't add anything to it. However, if we're talking about, I don't know what these are, grades, who knows? And if that is a potential, like, so for example, if I said how many siblings do you have, okay? And most people in the room said none, okay? And a couple of said 1, maybe someone said 2, okay? The answer to our question for the majority of people was 0. That is an answer. So 0 has to be counted. Whether it's affecting your value or not makes no difference. It is still a data value. Yes? So if it's included in my table, I must include it in my data value.
Then what does 1.56 give us?
Okay, so this is saying that the value, the mean value, the average value for this particular situation is 1.56. Okay? Now, if we had done 78 divided by 4, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, we'd get around 20.
19.
Thanks. Okay? Is this a sensible value, given that this is my data? Because our table is only going from grade 0, 0, 1, 2, or 3. So my average, my mean value, can only be between 0 and 3. So to get an answer of 19.5, that's one of those dark answers that I get frustrated with you all for doing, because it's not a sensible answer. Okay, so when it comes to the sense check, you write that down and go, oh, hang on a minute, that's wrong. I've done something wrong. What do I need to do to change this? Okay? Don't just move the decimal point, which is what I've also seen happen. Okay? Think carefully about what's going on. I've seen it. All right? So my answer here is 1.56. Now that also makes sense because these numbers here, I've got 11 here, 10 here, 19 here, and 10 here. So they're quite similar, but there's more 2's, yes? So I would be thinking that if there was an even number of each of them, my mean would probably be 1.5, because it would be in the middle of these two. But because I've got a few more of these, it's taking me up to 1.56. So you can often establish whether your value is sensible or not just by looking at the data you've been given. Okay, now, that table, not so bad, we just multiplied the numbers. We've got an issue here though, because this is a range. Anyone? Yes, exactly what to do.
1.56 is the range.
The mean,
Of
the mean rate, yeah. I don't even know what this represents, I just found something. So here, as we just said, we can't multiply a range, so what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the midpoint. So the first thing we have to do is find the midpoint. So what's the midpoint of 10 and 12? 11. And 12 and 14? 13, 15, and 17. Okay, so we found our midpoints. We would then multiply that number by the frequency. Now, can I just stress here that questions like this would ask for an estimate or an approximate mean value. Okay? Now that doesn't mean that when you get to your final answer you round it. It means that it has to be called an estimate or an approximate because we do not know what the data is. Okay, do you see the difference? And as I say, so when people see questions like this, they see the word estimate and think, oh, quick, I've got to round this. But you don't. It just means that you are doing exactly what you should be doing, but it's not giving you an actual mean value that this one would have done. It's giving you an estimate. So we would multiply these values, so we would have 44. Oh, what's 8 times 13? 80, 104, 50, 75, 30, 51. Okay, so we'd multiply those values. We'd add those green ones. I don't know what that is. 274. And we add our blue ones. On fire. So the mean here would be 274 divided by 20, which is 13.7. And again, if we looked at our data, that looks probably right because we've got not many of these, quite a few of these, some of these, not many of these. So it's going to be around this point here. But the important thing is it's within our range anyway. Okay? So that's how we find means from frequency tables. It's something that you learn, as I say, a long time ago, and we don't often go through it again and sort of real things. Okay, can I move on? Yeah. Median. Okay, so what did we say we have to do to find the median of something?
Arrange them in the order and find them.
Yeah, so we're going to put them in order first. Now, The most disappointing and frustrating thing for these kind of questions is where you've got quite a lot of data here, people write them in order and misconnect. So whilst it's is a pain to rewrite them, please spend that 1 extra second counting that you've got all the correct number of data values before you find the middle, because otherwise it's just a waste of time. Okay? So it doesn't matter if you start highest or lowest. I'm going to start lowest. So 2 is my lowest. And I'm actually going to cross them out to make sure that I've got them all. I've then got a 5, 7. Tell me if I'm doing something wrong, okay? 12, 13, 14. Oh gosh, it's making me go titty, isn't it? 19. This is fun, isn't it? 23, 23, 23, 23. 1, 2, 3, 4. 29, 39, 42, 55. Okay.
HX is initiating a lockdown drill. This is a lockdown drill.
Okay, I need all your phones.
Why can you guys not?
Yeah.
Why are they outside?
I'm looking at the.
Yeah, that's why you were like, oh, mine's in my pocket. That's fine.
Look at all those icons. Why can we literally not hear us?
Nothing to do with it. I just want to do that. Anna!
I already texted my
Alright, so it's starting off.
I have a question. What are these usually for?
Are we supposed to hide?
They're for school.
Are we supposed to
So
hide?
look now, if there's dodgeball in the area, we want to keep you safe in the building.
If like someone's like walked into the school and they're like not supposed to be here, they're like,
And so the reason that we take your phones from you is because you might be contacting your parents going, oh my god, it's a lockdown. And then that's all craziness breaks loose.
Why can we literally not hear the alarm though?
Yeah,
no, I literally thought about it.
Yeah, we haven't practiced.
It's like I know. Yeah, you will. I'll be dead first.
Right, so we're carrying on, ready? So we're finding the median. So we're trying to turn the back.
If this is the drill, what if it was a shooter? They'd come kill us all in like 2 seconds.
So, okay, this is a place locked down. So we've locked all of the doors.
Everybody.
There's one here is a door.
Anybody else in your area, because they may like have like connections with. But what if one of us had to go? We're asking.
Well,
They're so fun. Honestly, that's all good. Yeah, fair.
anyway, if you're not, I should be able to get this to announce on the thing.
Yeah.
We have got
What about there? Also, why would you not lock everybody in with her? We have a school shooter. What about the one?
We really did. Should we not see that? this is where we have to make sure we understand how to find the middle one. Okay? So if there are 15 pieces of data, you add 1 to that. So there are 15 pieces of data. Oh, we recorded that whole thing. We add 1 to it. And we divide by 2. Now this is going to give us the location of the data value, not the answer. Okay? So this is the position of the data value. So it's 15 plus 1, because it's an odd number of data, so it's going to be an actual data value. So if they were even, you literally would just halve it and find the 2 in the middle. So 15 plus 1 is 16, divided by 2 gives us the 8th position. So you then say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is my middle value, therefore my median is 23. Okay? Because we need to make it even, and that's how you make an odd number even. Okay, so no, because that's not going to give you halfway. Charles, please.
So I know how many there are on each side of the number.
Okay, so you do something slightly different. So this way is the easiest way to find the actual location of it. Now, if there was an even number of data to start with, okay, so this is a different kind of question. So let's say it's 2, 3, 7, 9, 10, 12. Okay, so they're my data values. I'm trying to find the median here. If I've got an even number of data, you literally just divide that by 2. So I've got 6 pieces of data, so half of that is 3. So you find the 3rd and the 4th piece of data. Okay, so if it's an even number of data, you cut it in half and you find the 2 either side of the middle. And you add them up and divide by 2. So in this case, that would obviously be 8. Alright? So that's how we find medians.
Wait, you can find 8 because that's the other one too.
Because you're finding halfway between 7 and 9.
Why?
Because if you've got 6 pieces of data, the middle sits in between those 2.
The middle would be 3, right?
Well, half would be you've got 3 on one half, 3 on the other half. But the middle is going to be in between those values. Yeah? So that's why odd data you have 1 value. Even data you're going to find the middle of those 2 middle values.
But you can just go 1, 2.
You can, but if you're talking about 50 data, there's room for error. Okay, but yeah, sure, if you want to cross 1 off each side, it just takes a long time. And then you think, oh, darn it, I crossed 1 off, I got sidetracked, and then you get the wrong number. So this is
If we have to go to the next one, I can just stay here.
yeah, I'm going to go to your next lesson, unless you're going to music or PE.
I'm going to be
Art.
Yeah, we're all
What? So then you go to the QH.
Oh yeah.
No.
So we can go to the QA.
What if this
When we get told that we're no longer locked down.
Serious problem.
Girls, if that was a real situation, you wouldn't be allowed out. Imagine, because it's a drill, they might let you. Alright. But let's be honest, if it was real, you wouldn't want to be Yeah. Alright. You may not want to go to your orthodontist appointment anyway.
Yeah, what if your parents were like, oh, we're on, like,
And you don't have your phone. You don't have your phone, and it would be a section and say, you're not down. Alright, last one. Lana's mathematics test grades are 87, 93, 89, and 85. What? It was out of 700. I'm kidding. are very, very common type questions. So you are unlikely to get one like first, a very basic one. It's either going to be a table of values or it's going to be one like this. Okay? So we have to think about this. Please don't do that. Sorry. We have to think about how this works. If I want to get a mean value of 90, how many tests are we talking? 5. So, what I would need to do is I need to find the total sum that I need. Sarah, please. So what's the total sum that I would need if I wanted to have a mean of 90 for 5 tests? Yeah. So you would have 90 multiplied by 5. So you would need a total of 450 for those 5 tests. Does everyone understand that?
I don't.
So in order to have a mean value of 90, if there were 5 tests, we know that the mean is the sum over the number of values. Yes? So if I know that this is 90, and I know the number of values is 5, to find the sum of the data, you just rearrange that to 90 multiplied by 5.
Okay.
Yes? So I know that the sum I need is 450. Now, I can find the sum that I have currently. Okay, so currently, 354. I have 87 plus 93 plus 89 plus 85. What did someone just say it was? 354. 354. Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, 354.
You have to rearrange it.
No? Just add them up. So, if I want a mean of 90, my total has to be 450. So I'm going to do 450 subtract 354. So she has to get 96 in her next test in order to bring her mean score to 90.
She needs to get a
Would you put 96%?
No, because we don't know what they are. We don't know the test.
It's 96.
It's just 96. As I said, it doesn't matter what they're after.
What does it say? It says mean equals sum over number.
Sum over number of values.
You need to.
Okay? Alright, so, ladies. Oh my gosh, seriously. This one is just some summary of advantages and disadvantages of all different averages. Okay? Sometimes they may say to you, why would this one be better than the other? Who knows whether they will ever ask you that? Often they are common sense kind of answers. And if you're finding the mean of something, obviously it's going to be hugely affected if there are extreme values. So say, for example, we're again going for siblings, we've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 7. Okay?
most commonly guessed number when you ask.
Yeah.
I love that. People like you got it on video. You can have that forever.
I know, that's weird.
That's why we No, we're just a lucky class.
Right, so obviously that person with 7 siblings is going to skew the data because we would think it would mostly be 1 or 2 or none, but that 7 has made it increase. So extreme values do alter the mean. That extreme value wouldn't have any effect on the median value though, because you're still going to have the middle number no matter what, whether it's an extreme or not. So sometimes you are encouraged to think about which of these will be best. Now, measures of dispersion or spread. So I'm going to just quickly touch on this and then we're going to look at it again next lesson. This is where the range comes in. Okay, so often when you are first looking at statistics, you look at mean, median, mode, and range. They're your 4 things that you do. The range actually looks at the spread of the data. So it's the maximum value subtract the minimum value. Now you actually have to give an answer to that. You can't just say it goes from 10 to 4. You'd have to say that the range was 6. Okay? Quartiles. Have you heard of quartiles before?
No.
Okay, so it does cut things into quarters. Yeah, it cuts them into quarters. Hence quartiles. Right, we will start looking at this next method.